Let's talk about what we're going to cover on this video. First, we'll start with installing a Windows collector, and then activating that Windows collector with the activation code, and then setting up a Windows source once it's been installed and set up. So let's get started. Alright, so we've already downloaded the collector to our Windows server, so let's go ahead and go over there, and we can get that installation started. Accept the license agreement. You see the default installation there in C program files, Sumo Logic collector. Now we're going to accept the default of running as administrator, but you can also pick any user you want. You just need to make sure that that user has access to the data that you want to collect. Alright, it's finished up. Now we're going to choose the default option and collect local Windows events to give us some data to go against. And now we click next, and we finish up this installation and get our key that will allow us to register the collector. So we need to clip and paste that, and then we'll paste that into the Sumo Logic console. So we go next, take that activation code, and we want to give the Windows collector a name. We'll call it Windows Collector. All right, and let's go set up another source. Oh, there we can see that the default dashboard for Windows has been created for us automatically. So let's say OK. Now we're going to set up an IIS source. Next, we'll define the file path. And we'll look in the IIS file path and do start.log. That way we'll capture all the logs in that directory. Next, we can define a host. Call that IIS server. And then really most importantly, we can define the source category. And this is going to be the way you're most often going to search for your source data. Now next, let's look at the time zone. This is really important setting because very often logs, for example with IIS, don't include the time zone data. And if you doesn't include that, then it will default to PST. So you need to make sure that if that is the case, that you pick the right time zone. We're going to pick UTC in this case. Okay, now that we've picked that, we click next. Now we can see that we've set it up correctly. So as the final step, let's go check to see if any data has come in. So we go over to the status tab, and now we can see that our Windows collector is correctly bringing in the data. So let's look at what we've covered today. First, we installed a Windows collector and then took the activation code and activated that Windows collector, and then we installed an additional IIS source. Thank you for watching today.